I'm delighted to be joined on the phone today by a guitarist who's been there, seen it and done it over the last 44 years. Welcome to Vintage Rock Pod, Steve Diggle from Buzzcocks. Hi, Steve.
Hi, nice to be here. Yeah.
Good stuff. Now, 44 years. I mean, for a band, a punk band, you know what I mean, to have lasted so long. I mean, a lot of them crashed and burned and quickly fizzled out, but to be around for so long, I mean, what do you put that down to? What do you put your longevity down to?
Well, in one way, it seems to have gone so quick. If you look at it in terms of albums and stuff, I mean, we haven't made quite a few albums, but look at it like that, you think, well, we haven't done that much over the years, but we have done a lot. I mean, we've toured all those years. We've toured the world for years, and you just sort of get in the swing of things, really. I enjoy it on the road, and I enjoy making records. It was what I was born to do, really. You had a little dream when you was like 16 or 17 that you might join a band or get a band together, and then it's become the biggest dream possible. So I spent all my life doing it, and it's been amazing. I get off on the crowds. I mean, we've done thousands of shows all around the world. Brazil, Australia, UK, England, of course, everywhere. So that keeps you alive and going, really. And the fans have been stuck with us through all the years, and the thing about the Buzzcocks, I mean, we was a powerful act live. It was really rocking night,
Yeah.
You never had to go to a Buzzcocks gig and ask anyone to clap their hands or stand on the seat or something. It was just like they was kind of telling you,
Yeah. And you see the videos and you see yourselves. I mean, you're always dripping with sweat. There's so much energy, not just from the crowd, but from yourselves as well.
Well, absolutely, yeah. You're kind of feeding back. It's like a cybernetic two-way feedback, yeah. You're getting the vibes from the crowd, you're giving the vibes. And in the middle, that's where you kind of meet, where everything comes alive. Because we know we've got like an hour and a half or whatever to generate this thing. And, the nature of Buzzcocks songs, which is usually fast and up-tempo, generates that. That's where you see God, the devil, and yourself and everything else in the middle bit, But that gives it the excitement. And, you go away feeling alive. The crowd feel alive, and it's inspiring for the crowd and for us, So that's the lifeblood of doing it, really, So it's 44 years, but it's never been a problem, It's what I signed up to do, really,
Brilliant.
Although I didn't know that at the time, when you don't know where it's going to take you. You think, well, if you get a few shows, a few gigs, see where it goes from there. Because we never really planned anything as such, but all of a sudden, things just took off, and we had, some great songs, as you know. So, we did a single. It was like, wow, this is the Buzzcocks on the map. So we started in, we brought the Sex Pistols to Manchester. So we were there at the beginning of punk.
I was going to say, your first show was on the bill with the Sex Pistols, wasn't it, in Manchester?
Yeah, well, we brought them there because I think it was Howard, when he was in the band. He saw them in a little Chelsea club. It was unknown, really, and he said, we'll put a poster up and in Manchester, and we ended up opening up for them, and all the journalists came down to see the Sex Pistols. I'm surprised that there was a band from Manchester there,
Yeah.
Like we came on and blasted out 20 minutes, so they were surprised, but that kind of put us on the map because they reviewed that. They all thought it was starting in London, but we kind of had the same idea and feelings in Manchester, and that kind of put Manchester on the map, and then the provinces on the map, really, because, people in Sheffield and Scotland and all other places thought, we can start punk banding our own town. So it was very inspirational, really, in that way, because it's like, well, if the Buzzcocks can do it in Manchester without going to London at the time, it was like, well, we can do it. When we went on those early tours, every town came alive, All those 70s discos were taken over and suddenly become like punk venues, I mean, we didn't know, we kind of played, we was on the White Riot tour and all that, bigger venues, but you'd go to these little clubs after and go, this was run down, and all of a sudden, everybody's come alive because they've taken over the place and made it a punk venue. So, very exciting times, and...
You said it was really exciting times. I mean, what was it like amongst the punk bands at the time then? I mean, obviously you did bits with the Sex Pistols. Was the camaraderie about what you were doing at the time? Was the rivalry, or was it somewhere in between?
Oh no, we was kind of like mates. You know, I mean, the Sex Pistols loved us. You know, they loved what we were doing because it wasn't like them. You know what I mean? Them and the Clash as well. You know, the Clash loved us too. You know, but so we all became like the school of '76. Really started all that. You know, and so you know, I knew the Clash well and the Pistols well and all that stuff, and also the Jam and the Damned. You know, that was the nucleus punk rock in '76 and '77. All the other ones came later, you know.
Yeah.
But that was our school, and if I ever run into any of those, we all kind of know where we started from, you know. So there is that camaraderie there. There wasn't any rivalry there with all that then, you know. But what happened from there then? It was like suddenly you had to start making records, and so each band got their own identity, you know, because everybody was just, oh, you're a punk, aren't you, and all that kind of stuff. And then nobody knew really what it was or what it was supposed to be doing. And then, you know, the Clash put singles out, we put singles out, and each band had their own identity, you know.
Brilliant. And you signed with United Artists, and as fate would have it, it was on the day that Elvis died. But from that point on, you guys just kind of worked non-stop, didn't you? You put out some like 3 albums in just under 2 years, didn't you? And you toured, like you said, the UK and Europe and America as well. I mean, how was that at the time? It must have been exhausting.
Oh, it was, but it was 1 minute you was doing nothing, and by the age of 20, you know, suddenly, like you say, it all took off, and it was like, we'd go in a rehearsal room, and, you know, Pete'd have some songs, and I'd have some songs, and we go, oh, it goes like this, and we've got to be at the pub at 5:30. They opened, you know, this closing afternoon. And so we'd bang these songs out. But the band was so tight and good. It was like you sound the band your song. And it was like, okay, it goes a bit like this. And we had them sorted out. You know, we didn't spend days sweating about this stuff. But you realise the magic and the chemistry of the band at the time could put these songs away really easy, you know. And when you're young, you know, and you have that, it's kind of like this magical self-belief somehow. But, you know, it's kind of like, yeah, we'll bang the hit single out and then we'll be in the pub at 5:30, that kind of attitude, you know. Didn't worry about it too much. But we knew what we had, you know. There was a lot of off the ball with who Peter was and who I was, you know. You'd kind of do that bit at home. So when you came in with your chords and the chorus and some words you were working on, it was like you'd done a lot of the internal work at home or, you know, hanging around with yourself. So there was all that. But those songs came together, and like you say, we'd put singles out and then they wouldn't be on the albums, most of them. So we'd do the albums as well. So it was very prolific in those times. And then we'd go off on a 32-date tour. You know, we used to do about 82 dates a year and more, as well as being in the studio. So can't remember being at home, really.
And is that one of the things that contributed to the first breakup of the band then?
I think it was in the end, yeah. I mean, it's inevitable, really. What happens is, you know, a party can't last forever. And from touring Britain and Europe, suddenly, you know, you're going to America and places like that. And you don't really break America. America breaks you, you know.
Yeah.
But we'd had some wild tours there. I mean, it was full-on rock and roll, you know. And but so it'd take us a long while to get around the world in a way, doing these tours, and then you'd, like I say, we, you know, be like, well, you know, let's do the next single or the next album. So yeah, it took a lot of your time, and we was together a lot of the time. And there were some pretty wild times there. So eventually you're going to kind of burn out, really, and that's kind of what happened after. I think it was 5 years or something like that. 5 years of intensity, you know. But you wouldn't change it for the world, you know what I mean? It was just like the painter Turner, he tied himself to the mast and went out to feel the elements in the sea, and that's what I thought it felt like, you know, bring it all on, you know.
Yeah.
So, you know, when you get an opportunity, you've just got to take it and realise, you know, we just took it all in our stride in a way, but you've got to have a lot. It's one thing learning an instrument, but you've got to have a lot of stamina and strength to deal with all the other stuff, you know.
So you guys got back together after a few years apart, and then you went from strength to strength. You carried on recording albums and touring, and you toured with some huge acts. I mean, you were on one of the last tours with Nirvana, weren't you, at the stage in '94?
Yeah, we did the last tour with them. I mean, we were in America, and we're playing in Boston. We're doing like a 40-day tour of America. It was we had an album called TTT, Trade Test Transmission Tour. So we had all these televisions behind. I used to smash 6 televisions every night. Did it all around Britain, Europe, and all around America. So at the end of the show, I smashed the 6 TVs, and I came off the stage in Boston, and immediately in front of me was Kurt Cobain saying, "I love the way you smash the televisions, man." You know. So I told him there was an art to it, because I got electric. I nearly died of electric shock on one show. And he said he's only smashed 1 television. I said, "You've not lived, man. I'll show you the art of doing it." So it implodes and the smoke comes out. So we did that tour in the end. Sam shot himself at the end. But we got well with all Nirvana, you know, with Dave and Pat Smear and Chris Novoselic. You know, we had a great time with them, you know, in and out of each other's dressing rooms and stuff. So, yeah, they was big fans of the band as well, you know.
Fantastic.
But, you know, Buzzcocks had that very unique sound, and, you know, we was very distinctive, really.
Yeah, you were almost, well, not almost, you were. Your songs were a lot more intellectual in subject matter and lyrics and things like that than your stereotypical what you class as a punk band, wouldn't you?
Yeah, and we had, like, a few discordant chords, because we was, like, into krautrock and different things like that, you know. We was into experimental stuff, you know. When I was 16, I used, you know, I'd go out on a Saturday night. My mother she'd be hoovering up the next day outside my bedroom, and I'd have the hangover. So I recorded her once on my 1970s big stereo, and played the Hoover, the vacuum cleaner, back at her, you know, 100 watts. And I realised, wow, that's white noise, you know, and you can record a Hoover. Which I did on my solo. I was telling this story in the studio when I did my solo on Inner Space Times a couple of years ago. Mm-hmm. And so we had a Hoover on the track.
Good memories.
Yeah. So, I mean, it all comes around again, if you see what I mean.
Good stuff.
And I read a quote from Johnny Marr saying, on Autonomy, that riff, he said, when I heard that, he said that I knew that was the new riff of Manchester, you know, a modernistic, you know, call with the new sound, you know, which I thought, oh, that's a good compliment. I never
certainly is.
Like that, but it is kind of, you know, for that time as well, it was kind of, you know, different and futuristic and bit experimental, you know.
Definitely. Now, just looking at now, then, you've released a fantastic box set. I mean, 6 CDs in there. It's got 137 tracks. There's 83 previously unreleased ones on there as well. It's called Late for the Train, Live and in Session. It's got an absolute ton of brilliant material, live stuff going from many different years and stages, and it is absolutely tremendous. Now, you've been heavily involved in this, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean, we were speaking about what we've been doing in lockdown, and that was one of the things. We was kind of talking to Cherry Red Records about this stuff. They was asking if we got anything, and we did a box set of the last 4 albums called Sell You Everything, and then of course it was like, well, we found some demos we put on there. Then it was like, oh, well, these radio stations and these proper 24-track live recordings of shows and stuff. So. During the lockdown, because, you know, we can't do anything, it was like, well, let's put all that together, because, you know, a lot of fans were asking for that, you know, is there anything in the can? We get asked that a lot. So, yeah, we've been trawling through all that stuff and come up with this thing of all like the radio sessions and the live gigs, Late for the Train, yeah. So that's kind of like the companion now to, like, the last 4 or 5 albums we had as the box set, Sell You Everything. So there's these 2 things, which for a Buzzcocks fan, you've got a lot of material there, yeah.
Yeah, it's absolutely phenomenal.
Interesting things, yeah.
And then you were chatting as well, like you said just before the start there, that like a lot of musicians during lockdown, it's been difficult because you can't get out on the road and play for the fans, which is what you love to do. But on the other hand, we're going to have an amazing 2021 because the amount of bands that are going to come out with new music is going to be phenomenal. And you said you've not recorded, but you've written enough great material for 2 albums, so you're going to have to kind of hone that into one now, aren't you?
Yeah. I mean, well, I'll have enough for other things. I'm hoping to put some singles out and then albums, you know, singles perhaps not on the album and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I'm going to start recording that in February. We did have a single out, Got to Get Better, and Destination Zero. I like the B-side better, really, even a rock book. But what I want to do with the next batch of singles I do is make deliberate B-sides, if you like, because remember growing up, you'd hear things on jukebox, the B-side was always a bit weird. You know?
Yeah.
So rather than try and make 2-hit singles or something, you know, like A-side ones, I want to do some weird B-sides, you know what I mean? So you've got like a classic A-side and then something weird on the B-side, you know.
Bit of experimenting.
A bit more into it. And yeah, a bit more experimental and a bit weird. It's like, well, that's definitely the B-side, you know. But get into something that way with it, you know, bring someone else to the table rather than like just trying to write some, you know, commercial hit or something, you know.
Absolutely.
Which we never did anyway. We always just sat down and did what we did. They only came hits because people voted with their feet. Yeah. But yeah, so we're doing that. We had the Got to Get Better single out, and then people loved it. You know, they were buying it on the road and in the shops and downloading it and everything. And then, of course, the COVID came in, so got a lot of stuff. And like you say, I think every band in the world can't wait to get out there and play their new material and get touring again, you know.
Yeah. It'd be an absolute pleasure to see you back on the road and listen to your new material. Now, Steve, thank you so much for joining us on Vintage Rock Pod. It's been a pleasure to speak with you.
Absolute pleasure. Hopefully see you next year.